Now I finally caught it. I'm breathing your life inside of mine. I finally caught it. I feel it. You've got my...
Welcome back to the Lighthouse. We are in episode 6. Thank you for stopping by again this week. Hey, if there's ever been a time where we need some positivity, where we need some encouragement, it's right now. We're working our way through a pandemic, and it's been challenging, to say the least, for a lot of us. Right as we start to think that we're kind of climbing our way out of a hole and things start to make a turn, we have some things unfold that are just unexplainable. A lot of people are just feeling so much anger and pain and frustration, and rightfully so. And so I'm hoping that this can be a break, a pause, for some positivity and again some encouragement that you can take not just through today but through the rest of the week as well. So we're working our way through the book of Mark, and the theme this week for the word of encouragement is desperation. And we see a woman who has an encounter with Jesus. She's basically tried everything in her power, and she reaches a point of desperation. And there's a big turn, a big shift that we see. And so I want to take a look at really how that started, why it changed, and really what her posture was to really lead to this result. So let's take a look. We're in chapter 5. And to kind of give you an idea of the context of what's happening, Jesus had just gotten in a boat with his disciples. He'd coming across the lake. And there was a crowd of people. As we're seeing, there's always a crowd of people, it seems, to be following Jesus. And this is no different. He gets out of the boat. There's a crowd of people there. There's a man who sees Jesus and recognizes him and says, "Hey, my daughter is sick. I need you to come with me and come heal her." And so Jesus has compassion. He goes, he follows this man. And on the way to this man's house, there's a woman in the crowd who reaches out in an attempt to reach Jesus. Let's see what it says here. We're going to pick it up in verse 25. It says, "A woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding. She had suffered a great deal from many doctors, and over the years she had spent everything she had to pay them. She had gotten no better. In fact, she had gotten worse. She had heard about Jesus, so she came up behind him through the crowd and touched his robe. For she thought to herself, 'If I can just touch his robe, I will be healed.' Immediately the bleeding stopped, and she could feel in her body that she had been healed of her terrible condition." Let's stop there and take a look at what's happened here. This woman, it says, has been physically ill for 12 years. This has been an ongoing big issue in her life. 12 years she had been trying everything that she could to get better. It says that she had seen all the doctors, she had seen all the specialists, she had done everything that she could to see the right people to make an improvement in her life. It says that she had spent every dollar, every penny that she had. She had spent all of her money. She had gone to great lengths. She tried it all. And yet she had only not just stayed the same with her condition. Her condition had actually gotten worse. And so she's continuing to just have issue after issue and challenge after challenge. And then it says that she had heard about Jesus. She didn't know who Jesus was, it says. It doesn't say that she was a follower of Jesus for 25 years and was a devout, Christian and had been going to church and doing everything sometimes that we think that we need. No, it says that she had just heard about him. It says that she had done everything in her power to heal herself and to find an answer to her problem. And she hadn't found it. She was at rock bottom. She tried it all. And there's a change in her mindset, and there's a change in her action where she says to herself, "I do not have what it takes to see what I need to see in my health." Insert anything you want here so that you make it applicable for yourself. "I have tried everything in my power to improve my marriage. I have done everything in my power to stop some of my bad habits. I have done everything in my power to try to win the love and affection of the right type of person. I have done everything in my power to make sure that my kids are growing up the way that they should grow up, the way that I want them to grow up. I've tried it all." And yet there's still questions. Nothing's getting better. Her mindset changed, which changed her outcome. It wasn't how much money she spent. It wasn't how many people she went and talked to. It wasn't the specialist that she saw. It was a change in her mindset. Her mindset went from, I'm going to do it all, to, hey, whatever it takes. And the definition of whatever it takes for her changed. Now she was having faith over fear. She had enough faith to reach out and touch the robe of Jesus. It took humility. It took her putting potentially pride aside. And it took her saying, I'm going to be humble enough and I'm going to have enough faith where I don't need Jesus to put hands on me. I don't need this man named Jesus that I've heard about to do some miraculous big healing. She said, whatever it takes, I am desperate enough just to touch the hem of his garment. And I believe that that will be enough to change my outcome, to change my life. The word of encouragement this week is an actual word. It's one word, and the word is desperate. The word is desperation. You see, when we think about desperation, we think about being desperate. We go to a place of thinking about the wrong things. We think about maybe someone who was so desperate that she was willing to date the worst of the worst just to try to find love. We think about someone who was so desperate that they were willing to push their family to the side and just focus on their career so that they could be successful, so that they could get the financial situation that they wanted. You see, all these examples of desperation are trying to lead to an outcome to fill a void. When we get desperate, we're trying to fill a void for something. This woman was no different. Her void happened to be a physical illness. She needed that void filled, and she had tried it all. She's now broke. She's seen all the doctors. She's done everything that she possibly can. She says, hey, whatever it takes, I got nothing else to lose. And in that moment where she was at rock bottom, and where sometimes we get to rock bottom, it can be a very lonely place. It can be a terrible place, but it can also be the place where the turnaround begins. And her turnaround begins because her mindset changes. And her question and her statement of, hey, whatever it takes, leads to her being desperate for Jesus. And so I don't think desperation, if channeled into the right areas, is a bad thing at all. The word and the question this week is, are there areas in your life where you are desperate, but it may be channeled in the wrong places? Are there areas in your life where maybe you're not desperate, but maybe you need to be a little bit more desperate? And the challenge this week is, man, let's get desperate for Jesus. Let's get desperate for Jesus right now, today. Let's get desperate for Jesus this week and just see what happens. Because this woman, all she did was she got desperate and she made an attempt to reach out to Jesus, and that was enough in and of itself. And it says that it didn't take another 10 years. It says that she was immediately healed. So I'd encourage you this week to channel some desperation towards Jesus and expectantly wait for there to be an outcome. Because I am believing that when you can get desperate and you can get desperate for Jesus, that immediately things begin to change. Let's try it this week. I hope you come back and see us again in week 7. Have a great week, everybody.
Inside of mine, I finally caught